compile this file at this point. So let's prove that. So I'm going to save it. I'm going to hit enter, and looks like I got an error here. Uh-oh. So Flash is giving me a little warning here. It is saying the class project document must subclass Flash display movie clip since it is linked to a library symbol of that type. Now, that is a mouthful. What exactly is Flash trying to tell me here? Well, there's one rule that you must follow with document classes. And we're going to take a look at what that rule is. So let me just shrink down Flash for a second here. We go back to the code. And I want you to think about this. Would there be any reason to have a Flash project in which you couldn't put anything on the stage, you couldn't use any sound effects or text fields or anything like that? I don't think so. Flash is a highly visual environment. You use it for making these rich media kind of things with like streaming video and 3D and sounds playing and, you know, all kinds of fancy fonts showing up and so forth. That's the fun thing about it. So what we have to do is we have to give our document class some of these abilities. Those abilities are contained inside of a movie clip, inside of Flash. If you've played around inside of the Flash IDE a little bit, you know that you can tween movie clips around the stage, and you can put other assets inside of those movie clips. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with them. So there's a way that we can actually make sure that we're able to do that with our document class. And I'm going to show you how that works. Let's just jump back into the code here. And I am going to go to my class name, and I'm going to use a special keyword here. I'm going to say extends movie clip. You see how Flash Develop is giving me some nice code hinting here? I can just select that, and you'll see that it did one more really nice thing for me. It did a little bit of automatic generation of code, where it says import Flash display movie clip. Now what does that do for us? We're going to get into this in more depth in further sessions, but what this does for us is inside of Flash there's a lot of code already written, including all of the code for movie clips. What we've just done is we've said, hey Flash, go find that code. And by extending project document with that code, we've just given our document all the abilities of movie clips, including the ability to add things to the stage. And that's the really important one for document class, because if you couldn't add anything to the stage, this would be a pretty useless file. Now we're not going to do that yet in this example. In further sessions we will. What I want to do is just be able to test and make sure this thing is hooked up right. So let me show you a little trick that is going to let you do that. In Flash there's a really handy little tool you can use called a trace, or a tracer, and it's going to let you actually print some things out to the console. So I'm just going to do a little test here. I'm going to say trace out I am here. Now, if we've set this up right, when we compile and run our Flash file, it's going to, well, let's take a look at the Flash again. Because we put project document inside of the class, Flash is going to go looking for a file with that same name, which we have right here. It's going to drill inside of it for the project document class. Then it's going to drill inside of that for the project document function, which we call the constructor. Any instructions that are inside of the constructor will automatically be executed, and we should see our trace. So I'm going to save that. I've got to make sure it's saved. I'm going to go back into Flash. I'm going to make sure that's saved, and I'm going to compile. And look at that. I mean, we haven't added anything to this stage yet, but we could if we wanted to. And in the output here, you're going to see a little tracer that says I am here. So we know our document class is fully hooked up. Congratulations, you are now off to programming in an object-oriented style. You're using external code, you're using a powerful code editor, and seeing all of the advantages of that. Let me show you one more small little trick that I like to do inside of my constructors. So I'm going to go back into Flash Develop, and I'm going to make use of a special word, this keyword. That is a special word that refers to the entire class that you are operating in. When you trace that out, that's a very, very handy thing for you, because that is going to allow you to actually trace out the name of the class where that instruction got executed. And that can be pretty good, because you'll see as you continue along and your projects start growing, you're going to create not just one class, you're going to make lots of classes. Each of those classes is going to have its own responsibility, its own job to do. By using the keyword this when you do a trace, you can just be really sure that you're looking at the right class. So I'll save that and we'll see what that looks like, how that changes our trace. I'm going to run that again, Control Enter to compile, and see that object, project document. I am here. So now we know for sure that this thing is working perfectly. Now this might seem like a lot of extra work if you are used to doing your code on keyframes or attaching them to movie clips, but the plus side of it is that it's really work that you only have to do once. The positive thing about, keeping your code external is that it encourages this style of coding where you make stuff that you can use time and time again. For instance, now that I have a working document class and a working FLA, well, I could save a version of that, and then anytime I want to start making a project, I just take that and start building it out. Smart people realized that and created tools called versioning tools that will actually keep track of your software that you're creating for you, and every time you make a change to it, it'll save a new version of it. That can be a lifesaver. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you've kind of coded yourself into a corner and things aren't working the way that you wanted, if you have a piece of versioning software hooked up, it's going to allow you to roll back to an earlier time. It's like turning back the clock to when the thing was working properly. That can be a real lifesaver. Like, I cannot recommend that highly enough. In future sessions, I'll show you how to set up software like that. It's really not that hard. But the important thing is that that kind of software only works really well when you're keeping your code separate from your binary files like FLAs and SWIFTs and JPEGs and so forth. And the reason is because versioning software reads code much the same way that we do. It can see differences between text really well, but it doesn't see differences in binary files that well. Well, this is a huge advantage for us if we're working in this style. So that's about the end of this tutorial, and congratulations, because you've now, began to do external code, and the sky's the limit from this point. So I look forward to seeing you guys in class, and I really hope that this has been helpful for you. You guys are doing awesome. You've come so far in a short period of time, and let's just keep that going, okay? I'll look forward to seeing you guys in the next class. Take care.